Let's analyze question 1. In this question, we see the first part, which is the question properly speaking, is X positive, and the two statements 1 and 2. As we already know, the 5 answer choices for any data sufficiency questions are the 5 I'm writing over the right here, assuming these are statements 1 and 2. A, or the first answer choice, means that statement 1 alone is sufficient or allows us to give a unique answer to the question, while statement 2 doesn't. The meaning of the second answer choice would be statement 2 alone is sufficient. That is, statement 2 on its own allows us to give a unique answer to the question, while statement 1 doesn't. Option C means that neither statement on its own allows us to yield a unique answer to the question, but when you put them together, you have a unique answer to the question. So let's say like this. Option D, or 4, means that each statement alone is sufficient or produces a unique answer to the question. Finally, option E means that statements together are not capable of producing a unique answer to the question. Considering these 5 alternatives, let's see which one really matches our analysis of the sufficiency of each of these statements. X is the square of an integer. Okay, if X is the square of an integer, let's say that we have an integer value here, and we have X, which is the integer squared. So let's say that this integer is -5. So what would be the value of X? The value of X would be 25, which is actually positive, right? So we can yield an affirmative answer to the question. What if the integer were, for example, +7? Then the value of X would be 7 squared, or 49, which is again positive. So another affirmative answer to the question. So it looks like for any integer, the answer to the question that the statement would yield is yes, because we understand intuitively that a square is always positive. But remember, integers are not just positive or negative, as in these two first cases. What about if our integer were 0? What would be the square of 0? Well, just 0. But 0 is not a positive number. 0 is signless. It is neither positive nor negative. So the answer to the question would be now a no, because 0 is not positive. Since we verify the different answers that statement 1 can yield, we need to say this means the statement 1 is not sufficient. Let's now proceed to analyze statement 2. X plus 1 is positive. Better make use of algebra here. Using the language of algebra, we can turn this affirmation into a mathematical statement like this. X plus 1 is greater than 0. Okay, let's solve in order to isolate X and see what range of values is X allowed to have according to this statement. We subtract -1 on both sides in order to eliminate +1 on the left side. Of course, these two will go away, and we have this. X is greater than -1. Now, let's interpret this on a number line. We see here is 0, here is -1, for example, perhaps -2, etc. If a number is greater than -1, it means that all possible values to the right of negative ones are allowed for variable x. So here, for example, we can find negative 0.2 or perhaps 5. But negative 0.2 as a possible value for x would yield a negative answer to the question, since this is a negative decimal. But 5, for example, yields a positive or affirmative answer to the question. Again, we see that two possible answer choices are presented, and then statement 2 alone is not sufficient. What if we combine these two? Okay, we notice that something is going on here, as we checked that with several test values, statement 1 produced one answer, and with value 0 for x specifically produced the opposite answer. Same happens for statement 2. We notice that 0 is also a possible value of x, while it produces a negative answer to the questions. And there are other values such as 5 or 7 that can produce an affirmative answer. So together, we would see the following, right? When x is 0, right, both statements actually are true, because 0 is the square of integer 0 and 0 plus 1 is positive. But this value yields the answer no to the question above. And other values such as, for example, 49. 49 is the square of an integer, and 49 plus 1 is positive. But 49 produces a yes. So together, we still have two answer choices, not a unique answer, so we need to mark option E. Okay, so let's see another example.